What's up, everybody? It's your boy Chaez Pearson, and this is the Outlet Forum with my esteemed co-host Chris Camello. What's up, Chris?
What up, Chaz? Another Wednesday night here.
Another great Wednesday night, and we got another fire show for you guys tonight. Steph inks a new deal with the Golden State Warriors. What does that mean for the team and the outlook moving forward? And Jason Tatum finally decides to speak on his Olympic experience, and no trade equals a wasted season for the Lakers if they don't make a trade this year. We got some interesting comments on that from Johan Buha, friend of the show, actually. But we got to start first, Chris, with Caitlin Clark. It was a great weekend. There was a lot of stuff going on this past weekend. There was football. College football is back. NFL is about to gear up for its season. There's a lot going on. But the WNBA is still popping right now. We are going to get quite a bit of new information from the WNBA in terms of what they got going on. Players are playing really well these days, but Caitlin Clark is the talk of the entire industry, the entire basketball world right now, because she put together another triple-double I think she's the only woman in the WNBA history as a rookie to put up multiple triple-doubles, and she got another one tonight against the LA Sparks, 24, 10, and 10. Chris, what do you make of Caitlin Clark, and does she deserve to be in that MVP discussion?
Yeah, another fantastic game for them. They clinched. So the Indiana Fever, first of all, clinched for the first time in 8 years, and they did it last night, even though they were idle. Basically, instead of getting fired on their day off, they quite the opposite. They got a promotion on their day off, which basically means they're going to be playing postseason hoops in the WNBA. First time in 8 years with the losses from the Chicago Sky as well as the Atlanta Dream. But yeah, Caitlin Clark was superb against the Sparks, 24, 10, and 10, like you said. Second triple-double of the season, and she's the only rookie to ever get a triple-double, and she's done it twice now, Chaz. Twice she's done it.
Yeah.
She, I think, has got Roy locked up. Roy is locked up, and Roy is not a person. Roy is Rookie of the Year. The question is, should she be in the MVP conversation? The answer is yes. Now, listen to what I'm saying. In the conversation. We all know who the front runner is, Chaz. It's A'ja Wilson of the Vegas Aces. More than likely, she's going to probably take it home, even though the Vegas Aces are – I don't think they have the best overall record right now. I think they're number 3, if I'm correct, behind the Sun and the Liberty. So she'll be obviously the front runner. You got Breanna Stewart in there, Alyssa Thomas, Nafisa Collier from the Minnesota Lynx. But we always have to you have to understand how the voting goes. You could pick up to, I think, 5 or 6 players in most leagues. I don't know how the WNBA does it for MVP. Just like, for example, do we have any doubt, Chaz, that the NL MVP in baseball, just a quick detour for a sec, is Shohei Ohtani? Do we have any?
We pretty much know that he is
the front runner,
going to be
right?
the MVP.
Yeah.
I know Lindor is doing his damnedest to make it a conversation, but
Lindor's in the conversation, right? Bryce Harper's in the conversation. By the way, shout out to Bryce. I hope he's okay after taking a ball off the elbow today. That's putting the Phillies in a pretty precarious position, one the Dodgers know all too well about. My point being is, just because I think Caitlin Clark deserves to be in the MVP conversation, which I believe she does not mean that it takes anything away from A'ja Wilson, Collier, Stewie, Alyssa Thomas, or anybody else that you want to put into that conversation. So there's a difference between saying for MVP and in the MVP conversation. And as of now, Chaz, I believe she should get some, not first place votes. I think she should get third, maybe a few second place votes. Your thoughts? Am I reaching?
No, I mean, on most nights, especially over the course of the last 30 days, I'd say, or maybe 2-3 weeks, there are nights that Caitlin Clark is the best player in the NBA, but A'ja Wilson is putting up 41 and 12 in recent nights as well. So A'ja Wilson is definitely going to be in the lead for the MVP. But Caitlin Clark, I mean, she just looks different out there between the step backs, the shooting, the passing, the off ball cutting.
Yeah.
Obviously, you know, a lot of ladies have played great in the NBA for a lot of years and gotten a lot of shine, or not enough shine, I should say. And Caitlin Clark has taken it, you know, taken some of that shine from them, but rightfully so, because she is doing everything out there. And if she's the only rookie to put up multiple triple doubles or just a triple double as a rookie, and the league's been around since '97, that should tell you something, right? In and there of
Yep.
itself. So obviously, she's going to be the rookie of the year. Angel Reese, with the rebound records that she's putting up for the franchise and as a rookie as well, leading in multiple double doubles and the most amount of double doubles as a rookie. She's no slouch either. But that's how good Caitlin Clark is. I think she might be unanimous. I think actually some people might actually give her some votes, but she should be unanimous for Rookie of the Year. But she might get some second place votes, third place votes. I don't think she's going to get a whole lot of first place votes. She will
No, I
be in
don't
the
think so.
discussion, like you said, but
Yeah.
because it's MVP of the league as a rookie, I mean, that's saying something. So
Yep.
shout out to Caitlin Clark. Shout out to the work that she's putting in. She is what I thought Sabrina Ionescu was going to be, and that's how good Caitlin Clark is, because Sabrina is great. She's like that. But Stewie, I think Stewie's better than Ionescu, and Caitlin Clark as a rookie is even better than both. Maybe not overall, but she just looks different. Her trajectory is just different to me, man.
Yeah, no, then that's a very good point. I think Ionescu came in, and I still think Ionescu is obviously a more polished player, but Caitlin Clark, that is somebody I think she's going to be chasing. And that was the name I left out last week, because I remember, Chaez, I was saying we've seen some great guards in the history of the WNBA. I mentioned Diana Taurasi. I mentioned Sue Bird. You can go back to the great Dawn Staley. Go back to the great Dawn Staley. But I forgot about Ionescu and Clark. I think the comp is closer to Ionescu, but she may be better than where she's at right now. So, I mean, and we've seen that before in basketball. We've seen where it's like, maybe this is not a fair comment, but I'm going to throw it out there. You have Kobe, right? And then you had Dwayne Wade coming up behind him. Now, obviously, by the time Wade came into the league, Kobe was already a 3-time champion. He wasn't a Finals MVP, but he was like a 5, 6, 7-time All-Star, whatever he was at that point, and was already the best shooting guard in the game of basketball. But you had a guy like Dwayne Wade coming in who really made a name for himself right away as well. So I'm wondering if Clark coming in, if she's not at Ionescu's level, she's now the one that Clark is chasing the way Wade was chasing Kobe. I don't know if that's the best example, but I just wanted to throw that out
I'm
there.
gonna just tell you, it's not. For our viewers that were trying to follow that just now, I apologize on behalf of the show and Chris himself.
Come on,
But no,
I
I get what you were trying to mean, man. It's just
apologize on
just
behalf of the show.
I apologize on behalf of the show. But no, I think ultimately Caitlin Clark she's just like that. She's just like that, and she's going to win championships. She's going to win MVPs because her game is only going to evolve even more. You got to think, 6 months ago she was in college. 6 months ago she was still playing in college. So that's how short of a time period it is from college to the regular season for the WNBA players, and to think that she would have played some Olympic basketball possibly as well. That's kind of crazy. So I just think that really Caitlin Clark is just going to be that next player. Asia Wilson is great for the next couple years, but just over the next 5 years, Caitlin Clark could win MVP 3 of the next 5 years. And I'm just going to say that and leave it at that.
Yeah, I think she'll definitely have a few under her belt, no question about it.
After getting MVP votes as a rookie this year.
Yeah. I mean, that's pretty rare in any sport where you're a rookie of the year, but you also get MVP votes. I want to say another baseball reference. Corey Seager 2016, unanimous rookie of the year. And Chaez, I think he also got some MVP votes that year. He lost to Chris Bryant, but he got some MVP votes. So there are times where rookies just come onto the scene and they are that team's best player. And I remember that year was like that for Corey Seager, but it's very rare. That's why I bring that up. Like, I had to go into another sport to find a similar example of when we've seen a rookie of the year also be in the MVP conversation, because it is very rare.
Yeah, absolutely. Bryce Harper was that guy though. So that, sir, is a better analogy. Now, moving on to the NBA. Speaking of the Olympics that Caitlin Clark failed to make for dumb reasons. We won't even get into that. But we'll need a whole nother show for that discussion, which we'll have, I think, at some point, by the way. But in the men's game, Jason Tatum was the one who was on the chopping block for Team USA. And he has finally spoken out to The Athletic about his experience and what he went through and everything like that. I'll just read just a quick quote from The Athletic, courtesy of The Athletic. It's one of those things where there was so much talk and debate, Tatum said. There was a period of, is he a superstar or not? Then it was a big debate, like, is he championship ready now? Then it's like, could he not get in the Olympics? I'm like, I just want a championship. It's the summertime. It might be nice to get a little break where you don't turn on ESPN and they're talking about you, but I guess it's just a part of it. That may be the level I've reached in my career now. It was a lot. In the stage of social media, you see everything. You see all the tweets. You see all the people in the podcast, just like us, on TV, giving their opinion and whether they thought it was a good decision or an outrageous decision or whatever. Obviously, I wanted to contribute more. I've never been in this situation, starting to play basketball at the age of 3 at the YMCA. I've never not played, so it was different. It was challenging. So he didn't really say anything new in there that we probably didn't figure or think ourselves, except for the fact that he started playing at the YMCA at age 3. 3 is pretty early to start playing basketball, but there are kids that do it. Chris, what did you make of not only the comments from Jason Tatum and the timing of him deciding to speak out? Me personally, I'll just say this. I thought that he was going to wait till training camp at the end of September to start, or media day, to really field those questions for the first time publicly, but he decided to talk about it a little earlier. What did you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was a very honest assessment, and I think he wanted to wait. I agree. I would have thought a guy like Tatum, I'm just going to wait it out till training camp, which is another 3-4 weeks away. That's when we'll start having media day, usually like that last week of September now. And then, you usually have the first not the first training camp, first exhibition games are usually that first week of October. Right. So, no, I thought it was a very honest assessment. I'm glad it wasn't a knee-jerk reaction. I mean, here's what I get from Jason Tatum. He's got a very level head. He does never too high, never too low. This is kind of who he is. And like I said, honest, no knee-jerk, no throwing anybody under the bus. It was good. It was a very good assessment. And yeah, obviously, there, for whatever reason, we're always looking at this guy for something. Even after Jaylen Brown took Eastern Conference Finals MVP and then, of course, NBA Finals MVP, that was a whole like, well, hey, what about Tatum? Oh, no, is Brown better than Tatum? Like, guys, this guy is still an elite player. Boston doesn't win this championship. Boston is not in 2 finals in the last 3-4 years without Jason Tatum. So let's stop doing this whole thing of, who's better, who's not. This guy is a very valuable part of this organization. He is clearly their star player, and he's in a unique position where it's not going to always, the sun is not going to always rise and set with me. Our success is also going to be dependent on other people. So we could still win with me having a bad night, a bad game, a bad series, and now we're definitely in a better position of that because Brown is better. We have Drew Holiday. We have Porzingis. We have Derek White. We've got a really good coaching staff with Joe Mazzulla. And same thing with, the Olympics. It's like they were not dependent on him compared to, let's say, Chaez, the 2021 Olympics, where there was considerably less talent. There was no LeBron. There was no Steph. There was no Anthony Davis. There was a lot of those guys were not there. So yeah, we needed Jason Tatum to be, tier 1 along with Kevin Durant and Devin Booker if we were going to win the gold medal. This time, they didn't necessarily need it. People want to blame Steve Kerr and the coaching staff. Fine. The fact of the matter was, it's been a long year for him. He still won a gold medal. He still won a championship. I mean, let's let it breathe now. He was still part of a lot of great things. And at least on the championship side, he was a major part of it. So I like what he said, because I think there's a lot of honesty in it. And I think he was truthful.
I mean, yeah, of course he was truthful. He didn't say anything that was out of bounds. He kept it real, kept it honest. But here's where I wanted to go with it. Like, when a superstar's career, take Kobe's, for instance, he has 2 Hall of Fame careers, right? You take LeBron, he's been on 4 different teams, 2 of which twice, in the Cleveland Cavaliers, or 1 of which twice. Guys, great players have long careers in different iterations of their career. I'm curious to know what later in Jason Tatum's career will look like when Jaylen Brown isn't on the team anymore, because this monstrosity of a contract that Jaylen Brown signed, they're not going to be able to keep both guys on the roster for a long period of time, especially if and when the Celtics get sold in the coming up years. For those of you that don't know, that they're on the chopping block, I guess, or the auction block, or whatever you want to call it. But
right,
for Jason Tatum in his leadership, right, he needs to be able to step up and handle this a little bit better. He didn't say anything that was bad, but I would have liked to see him have a little bit more ferocity, or a little bit more arrogance, or a little bit more, I don't know, cojones, if you will, and how he decided to address it initially up front. So that way it puts it to bed just a little bit more. If he, if he just has that kind of approach, I know that's not his personality, maybe, or anything like that, but
yeah,
but ultimately, if you really want to be able to be that leader and be able to win championships later on down the line, I think that he needs to be able to tap into certain things. So, no, am I going to dissect what he said and make it something that it's not? No, that's not what I'm doing. But just kind of projecting 5, maybe 8 years down the road, when this Celtics team that he's on, that just won the championship, doesn't look like what they look like now, because it is so hard to keep that amount of talent on a team for X amount of years, even though they have since 2017 or 18, but those were drafted guys that were not being paid anything up until recently. So when this team looks different, what will Jason Tatum say for himself as a leader then? So that's a little bit on where I wanted to take it, because in foreshadowing, I just think that he's kind of selling himself a little short, because he is handling it well, but you want to see a little bit more ferocity from him, because he is that good. His talent level is like on a Kobe, LeBron, maybe his body, or maybe not his work ethic, but his talent naturally is on that level, because he's been able to do what he's been able to do in the short career that he's had, and he's not even 28 yet. So yeah,
exactly. And I think with Tatum too, it's not trying to be a storyline, a headline, even though this is a headline. You and I are talking about it, right? But it also goes to show you that there's not a lot to talk about. Yeah, we're in the dog days of the season right now. So I mean, that's just where we're at on some of these things. And shout out on joining us on the IG Live or Twitter or Facebook. Appreciate you guys. Just want to give a few shout outs. My girl Carla, our guy John Watson. Check out Sports For You podcast. Diane Scarrett, my old coworker, my guy Sam P and Kevin Basica, Deanna Gruza. So I appreciate you guys joining us on here talking on Wednesday night. But yeah, I just also think, Chaez, he's not really bothered by much. He's not going to allow himself to be part of the storyline. Yeah, maybe there could be some more grit, some more sand in that craw, what I always like to say. But maybe this could also be a motivating factor, because remember, Chaez, we have not had a repeat champion since the Golden State Warriors of 17 and 18. It is very difficult to repeat in today's NBA. And a lot of times you need something to get you off the couch after eating a big meal. So maybe this is what drives Jason Tatum. and ultimately sets the tone, not just for himself to maybe put himself into having an MVP caliber conversation, but sets the tone for the Boston Celtics in a chance to repeat as champions this year, because everyone in the East is going to be coming after them. We've talked about the reloading of the Knicks, the Sixers, the Bucks are going to be very good. Pacers are going to try to, prove that last year was no fluke. You got a lot of other teams that are going to also be on the come up. Cleveland's not going anywhere. So they're going to have their work cut out for them. No question about it. Even Miami will still be in the mix. So Jason Tatum, I think the underbelly of this is, can I use this as a motivating factor to basically be like, you know what? You guys want to say this and that about me? Hold my beer. Watch this.
Yeah. I mean, he puts up 30 in his sleep most nights. The Celtics are going to be another great team as long as Porzingis isn't out for half the season, because that Achilles or that ankle or that leg or whatever, not his ankle, his leg, I believe it was, lower leg. Didn't he have to have surgery in the offseason?
Yeah, and I don't think he's due back until sometime in November.
Yeah, so, I mean, we'll see how the Celtics season go, but specifically for Tatum, he should have a good year. He should have a great year, and I wouldn't be surprised if he won MVP. It would take a lot of the stars aligning. Might take an injury or two to a guy like Luka or Embiid or Jokic or something like that, but Jason Tatum is going to be right there for MVP discussions, just like Caitlin Clark is, like we talked about at the beginning of the show. Another MVP, speaking of MVPs, another former MVP, and could have been the MVP, some argued, of the Olympics, and Steph Curry has now signed a new extension, a new deal with the Golden State Warriors. He signed a 1-year, $62.3 million extension. That'll take him through the 2026 season, I believe, Chris.
26-27.
26-27 season. 26-27.
Yes.
So that's not only this year, next year, but the season after as well. And it's not an option. This is a for sure deal. What do you make of, Chris, not only the deal itself, it being the max? He can only extend for so much time because of the over 38 rule in the NBA, meaning you can't extend for more than 2 years based on the current year that you have if you're over a certain age or a certain service time period in the NBA. What do you make of not only of the fact of the actual deal, but what does it say? Like, read between the lines a little bit for us. What does that say about Steph's trust in the Warriors and what the team will do moving forward, especially now that they look different without one of the Splash Brothers being on the team and in Dallas now?
It's interesting. I don't quite see it like that yet. I see it as, I'm going to take care of myself. First of all, if I've got a chance to make $62.6 million in my age, help me out here, Chaez. Is he going to be 38 around that time? 38, 39,
yes,
27?
Yep. Yeah. He'll be LeBron. He'll be LeBron's age now, essentially.
Yeah. Okay. So if I've got a chance to make $62.6 million when my skills, given the injury history with my ankles and lower body and whatnot, if I've got a chance to make that, I'm going to make it. Even if it is Golden State that's offering it to me. And you're right. I don't know what's going to happen with the Golden State Warriors. I don't know that, we already know Klay Thompson is gone. Steve Kerr is going to be around for a while. We know he just got his extension. I think Draymond's going to probably end his career in Golden State, despite other opinions. I think there's some of it is, let's trust the process, but it's also, I'm comfortable here. That's what it tells me. I want to be in Golden State. Maybe if we could attract another star player down the road, we could do that, or we could kind of continue to develop from within. They had a interesting offseason. They obviously believe in the young core, which is why they didn't pull the trigger on the Lowry Markkanen trade. But even just getting better on the margins, you're going to see a difference in this team next year. I think they're going to be a little bit younger, a little bit more dynamic. I think Steph is going to know. I think sometimes there's going to be more shouldered on him, but also at the same point in time, I think you're going to see a guy like Jonathan Kuminga really come into his own next season. And I think Mike Dunleavy is banking on him, at least for now, being the Robin to Steph's Batman. And that's going up and beyond, because Kuminga, all he's been in his career, Chaez, is inconsistent. But I like the nucleus that they have. They've got a nice team. They addressed their front court a little bit. They addressed their back court. They addressed the shooting. And they've got guys who are going to come in and fit in with their role. So they're going to have a nice little mix. I want to say it has the potential, don't quote me on this, to be
No, I got it. I got to quote you on
poor
it.
man's version of 22. It can be a poor man's version of what they were in 2022. Maybe not a championship team, but certainly a tough out on most nights.
The Golden State Warriors won't make it past the 8th seed. They'll be contending at 9, 10, and 11. The season could go terribly bad if they have just one injury alone or one Draymond suspension from Steph or Clay. I'm sorry, one Draymond suspension or one injury to Steph. Like that's the margin for error for this team, because looking at the roster without Clay, it's not like they signed a whole bunch of guys to really, replace him. DeAnthony Melton is probably the best pickup that they had.
Well, they also got Buddy Hield. Yeah, Buddy Hield.
Yeah, but Buddy, I mean, I'll be honest with you, even for the Sixers, Buddy, as great as the Sixers were, and then they got Buddy Hield without giving up anything pretty much, Buddy Hield still couldn't put them over the top. And they've lost to a Julius Randle-less Knicks team. So I'm not thinking Buddy Hield is going to move the line for any team, especially the Warriors, who struggle with playing defense, and Buddy Hield plays no defense. So ultimately for them, I think that the Warriors are really going to struggle. But what this says for Steph is that he puts belief in ownership. He has that good of a relationship with ownership in Joe Lacob and the rest of the crew, and Mike Dunleavy Jr. and Draymond and everybody else that's been there forever, however long else that they've been there for. So he just has trust in those guys. So this is him saying that he wants to retire, I think, as a Warrior. I thought that he might take a little bit more time. He doesn't have to sign this deal right now. Took a page out of LeBron James's book a little bit, especially in the tenure that he's been with the Lakers. By not having to hold the Lakers' feet to the fire, he's not holding the Warriors' feet to the fire at all for the missteps that they've had recently. Probably because he knows behind the scenes that they're doing everything that they can to try and trade for LeBron James before they got nixed by Rich Paul, or try and trade for Lauri Markkanen, but not really wanting to do a deal that's going to completely gut your team, because Lauri Markkanen isn't a championship player, isn't even a playoff player like that for that matter. You know what I mean? So I get where Steph is coming from. I get where Joe Lacob is coming from, especially with this deal. He's putting tickets and butts in the seat in that expensive ass Chase Center. Mind you, they still opened up that arena 4 years ago, just like Steve Ballmer and the Clippers did this year in the Intuit Dome, and they're still having to pay for seat licenses and advertisements and everything like that going in the Chase Center. So Steph Curry is going to foot a lot of that bill for them. So you got to hold on to him. Paying $62 million for one single year seems like a lot, because AD's making that much, and that's what the max is. But really, based on how much money that you're pulling in from ticket sales and concessions and filling up the Chase Arena 41 nights a year, yeah, Steph deserves even more than that. So I can't blame him, and I love this new deal for him, because I couldn't imagine him, just like how Clay's in another uniform. We all knew that was more of a possibility, but Steph being in another uniform, he should retire in the same uniform, just like Magic did, just like Kobe did, just like Tim did.
Yeah.
Steph should be that.
And I think he will
as well.
And that's what I said. I think that's what mostly this move signifies, is that I'm going to be here for a while and more than likely finish his career. And maybe he may even sign one more 1-year contract after this, for his age 40 season, depending on which shape he's in. So, but as far as the Warriors go, they may not be a championship team, but I still think they'll be one of those teams, just like the Clippers. You mentioned the Clippers. Clippers are still going to be a tough out. Yeah, they lost Paul George, but they still had a decent off season. They picked up a collection of guys, and I don't know where they're going to be, but they're going to be a tough out. If you sleep on them, they'll make you pay. And I think the Golden State Warriors are going to be in that similar category where, we may not look as scary as we have in years past, but we could still beat you on any given night. Steph could still pop off for 45, 50 points if he can on any given night,
Yeah, it's still the NBA. at the end of the day. Um, Speaking of the NBA, the Warriors, division rivals and foes, the hometown team. The Lakers have had a very uneventful offseason. There has been a lot of talk about the lack of moves on Rob Pelinka's part. Biggest moves that they've made is at the draft and hiring JJ Redick as their coach as well. Um, Jovan Buha, up front of the show, has had some comments where he said that pretty much, let me know if I got this right, Chris, that if the Lakers don't make a trade at some point this season, especially by the deadline, it'll just be a waste of a season.
Yeah. Yeah. Our guy, Jovan Buha of The Athletic, I've known Jovan for, man, 8-9 years. I'll never forget my Clippers Media Day, 2014, right? And I didn't know what the heck I was doing. I clocked out of my bank job and I said, I'll be back in about 3 hours. I got to go cover the Clippers Media Day at Marina Del Rey. And Jovan, everyone was waiting in line to get their credentials. And Jovan was one of the first guys I talked to. I've been reading his stuff for years. Good guy. We're going to try to have him on the show. That being said, credible guy. A guy that has been covering the Lakers now consistently over the last, I believe this will be his 5th season covering the team. And he's broken stories. He's had controversial takes. And I think he is saying what a lot of Laker fans think. This has the potential of being a disastrous, wasted season because they're essentially running it back, but they believe that it was a coaching problem, right? Which is a bold move. You never quite run it back when you hire a new coach, right, Chaez? You usually trade some pieces. You'll let some pieces walk. And outside of Taurean Prince, this is basically the same squad. So, by the way, clearly you didn't like the Jordan Goodwin signing on the Exhibition 10 contract.
I actually did. I actually did. He plays good defense.
Joking,
He's a good
shooter.
yeah. I'm just saying, but I just wanted to say, like, he actually is. I don't know if he'll make the roster, but I like the name and I like his game as well. But I don't think Rob is wrong.
Doing, yeah.
I don't think Rob is wrong, and here's why. I was saying that the whole time, the last 2 years, 2 seasons. I felt like Darvin Ham was a little in over his skis, not from an X's and O's perspective, but from an adjustments perspective, from a personnel perspective, from a communication perspective. Yes, the notch in his belt may have been getting Russell Westbrook to come off the bench in his first season, but you still didn't win the championship. Even though you went to the Western Conference Finals in that first year, you still didn't do anything in the second year. You actually should have won. I still contend that the Lakers should have won that first round series against Denver had they just been able to out-execute the Denver Nuggets because they outplayed them. They sure as hell outplayed them. They just didn't out-execute them down the stretch. So what that says to me is coaching. Now, bringing in a guy who's never done it to be able to clean up the mistakes of the guy who hadn't done it before him, that's what I was a little iffy about. But at the very least, offensively, the Lakers are going to have a little bit more organization. And he says that he's going to unlock AD. I take him at his word because I know that JJ Redick at least knows the game, knows film, and has played on the court with these guys against at some point, and some of the best players in the world in the time that he's been in the game. So don't forget, JJ Redick was that guy, player of the year for Duke. What was that, 2006?
Yeah,
that might have been two.
That was the year he. That was also the year he declared and ended up with the Orlando Magic. Okay. So to say that it's a wasted season if they don't make a trade, the problem is who are you trading for exactly? Okay. And I know Clutch Points. Hold on, Clutch Points threw out some names. Jeremy Grant being one. That was the last name, the last borderline all-star that we've heard linked to the Lakers. Who else do you want the Lakers to go out and get? Zach LaVine, Nikola Vucevic, who I like. You know what I mean? But Jordan Clarkson, like who do you want the Lakers to get? Kuzma? I mean, we've kind of seen that movie before, right?
So pretty much the premise is if the Lakers don't win a championship, or if the Lakers don't make a trade, they can't win the championship. And if they don't win a championship, it's a wasted season because the Lakers' expectations every year are championships, right? That's the
Right.
premise in all this. I disagree with the premise because, excuse me, I think that the Lakers can still win a championship or at least compete for a championship with the roster that they have right now. I do. Injuries and coaching derailed them. If they can be
Yeah.
healthy, which any team in the NBA is going to pray to God for this upcoming season because injuries affect everybody's season at some point,
Sure.
some more than others. But if the Lakers can stay relatively healthy and keep Gabe Vincent and Vando and Jalen Hood-Schifino and Dalton Connect and AD and Christian Wood, half those guys I just mentioned didn't play more than 50 games, right? Or
Yeah.
weren't
I
in the
mean,
NBA the season before. So I think that, along with better coaching, can get the Lakers to have a season that's not a wasted season, even if they don't make a trade. But we all know that they will at some point, especially on the D'Angelo Russell front, if he doesn't come out ready to play from jump and doesn't take until the All-Star break to get his gears going.
so here's the problem with your injury theory, because I was thinking about this too the other day, that Vincent and Vando missed the most games for the Lakers this past year. But AD and LeBron, your two all-stars, your 1-2 punch, played over 70 games each. So they were healthy. So you're meaning to tell me that, I mean, I don't know if they're going to play over 70 again. Their
No.
history, their recent history says that they may not. But you're saying as long as we have a healthy Vando and healthy Gabe Vincent, we're going to be in a similar mode, if not better than we were last year. If LeBron and AD are healthy, it's like they were last year, maybe. But it's just so there's two problems. One is, yeah, you're right. Health is everything. But if you were this level, if you had this level of success with your two-star players, which wasn't much last year, you were still in the play-in as an 8 seed last year in the play-in. I know they ultimately ended up getting the 7 seed, but they had to play in New Orleans just to get in. You know, if you're going to be a play-in caliber team, and now this year you're essentially running it back while a lot of teams are either on par or some of them are better. Now you mean to tell me we're gonna kind of get back to the top 5, top 6? Like I'm not buying that wholeheartedly. And here's the other caveat to what I'm going to say. I'm not exactly buying that a trade resolves all of these issues. Jeremy
No,
Grant may help,
I'm
but
telling
he
you
may
it won't.
not. Right. So you're kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place. Do we essentially run it back with this group? Or do we think that a Jeremy Grant, a Levine, a Kuzma, a Clarkson, whoever they're actually interested in, can make the difference between us being in the play-in tournament and us being in the top 6? That I just don't know. And I don't think, and can I be honest too? I don't think Pelinka or Jeannie Buss know either, which is why they're
No.
taking a safe route for now, running it back. Let's see what Reddick can do with these guys. And then if all else fails, maybe some of these guys have more value, assuming they're healthy, come trade deadline February of 2025. I mean, do you think I'm on par with maybe that's their plan right now?
Yeah, but
Running it
they
back because
just
we don't have anything better.
but they just need guys to play better. I think
That's it.
JJ Redick is going to do wonders for Dalton Connect, Bronny James, D'Angelo Russell, but number one more than anybody, number one more than anybody is going to be Austin Reeves, because Austin Reeves did not have the season coming off of Darvin Ham's first season in LA.
Yeah.
His second year. Now, do I think that, Team USA basketball for him when he played with Anthony Edwards and, playing as many games as he did for the first time, most games in his life, with all the golf that he plays as well? Was he tired? Absolutely. But I think that JJ Redick's coaching, along with his preparation specifically for Austin Reeves, as it goes through the season, I think Austin Reeves just has to play better and just be a better player, a more consistent player. Because if he has more nights where it's 18 to 21 to 23 points instead of nights where he's putting up 8 to 12 to 15 instead, the Lakers will win a lot of games and won't need LeBron or AD to play 70 games or as many games as they did the last season, or even season before, or seasons before that. I'd say the bubble year when they won the championship. So They just need guys to play better ultimately. Guys need to coach better.
Sure.
Guys need to play better. And Rob Pelinka
Yeah.
needs to do his job. When he can make a deal that's going to make the Lakers better, he'll do it. I've seen him do it.
Mhm.
I've seen him mess up. I've seen him do
Yeah.
great things as well. So we get
Right.
good Rob. We've gotten bad Rob. It's been mostly good Rob, then bad, because he still has his job and the Lakers still have a championship in the last 5 years, right? But it's what have you done for me lately? And if you fuck this up, you might have to get out of town.
Here's what I think. They are a good team. They're not a great team. I could see them winning anywhere from 45 to 50 games in a competitive Western Conference. That's not horrible, but that's
It's
also
great.
not
50
elite.
games in the Western Conference right now is great.
But in a loaded conference, a weighted conference where you're going to have more teams that are going to be tougher outs. Chaz, think about this. They lost to the Spurs when the Spurs didn't have anyone. Spurs are a better team this year. They lost to Houston a couple of times when Houston wasn't that good. Houston is better.
Bro,
Memphis is going to be better.
Are the Spurs going to make the play-in?
It doesn't matter. I'm talking about regular season, bro. On any given night.
Do you think the Spurs are going to be incrementally better? I was going to challenge you.
I think they'll be incrementally. Okay, no, that's fine. And I got an answer for that. Spurs are going to probably come just short of the play-in tournament. Just short.
Okay.
They're going to be a very they're going to be a good
even
team.
With Chris Paul throwing CP3 throwing Wemby lobs and everything like that.
They're going to fall just short because I'm still not sold that. Oh yeah, Chris Paul and Harrison Barnes they're going to make them more competitive and they're going to make those young guys more professional players and they're going to sell what Pop is been putting out there. So they're going to be an extension of that. My point.
50. Go ahead. Your point.
No. I said 45 to 50. 45 to 50. I think 50 is their ceiling.
But 50 will get you the 4 seed and home court in the first round.
Not necessarily. Remember last year, didn't Phoenix was the 6 and Phoenix won 49 last year, right?
Clippers won 51 and was a top 4 seed with home field.
Yeah, there were 4. Yeah, so it makes sense. So Phoenix, they had that last non-play-in spot, let's call it that, at 49 and 33. Phoenix is going to be better because Phoenix was riddled with injuries. For as much as people want to say, oh, this and that, okay, yeah, they got some things to figure out with Bradley Beal. I don't think Coach Bud is a major upgrade over Vogel, but they addressed some of their needs. That's what people forget about Phoenix this offseason. They addressed needs, and they will be better because of that. Phoenix will be better. Oklahoma City is better. Minnesota is going to be solid. You know, the Clippers are going to be a tough out. New Orleans is going to be up in the mix. They may take a bit of a step back. They'll be there. But they'll still be there, you know, in the top 10. Sacramento is going to be good. Don't sleep on Golden State on most nights. My point being is if you drop enough of those nights where you lose to random teams, you're going to pay for that, Chaz. And they did last year. Those losses to Brooklyn, to San Antonio, to Atlanta, to Houston, that came back and that bit them in the rear, bro. It really did. So that's what I'm saying. In a more loaded Western Conference, where even if some teams aren't as strong, your margin for error is still small because you have more competitive teams in the West. That's all I'm saying.
Well, we will see. We're just going to leave it at that because I think it's not going to be a waste. Not at all. Whether they make a trade or not, I don't think it's going to be a waste because I think the difference is going to be in the coaching and the entries and guys playing better and JJ getting more out of this team than Darvin did.
That's what they're banking on, and they better be right. They better be right.
That's what they're banking on. But hopefully, I mean, this is a better show. Thank you guys for tapping in with us tonight. The last couple of weeks was kind of rough. I know my video was messing up left and right. Tonight was a much smoother night. So appreciate you guys tapping in. You guys know where to follow me on Instagram and on Twitter at ChazP, at Chaez Pearson. Follow the show. Appreciate you guys jumping in the comments, following us, tapping with us every week. We're going to have a show every single week from now until the final. So I can't wait. Chris, where can they follow you? And you got anything to plug?
Just continue to follow me on Instagram. Shout out to all my Instagram followers who are on the live tonight at CCamelo1. I'm on Twitter as well at Chris_Camelo, and be sure to follow us on the Outlet Forum on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, and Facebook as well. Chaez, I know you had your Facebook on here as well. And by the way, I'm also if you guys like high school football, I'm writing articles on the Long Beach, Downey area this year. So, it's football season. We got the NFL starting tomorrow. We're already in college football season. So if you guys want to get your local football fix, be sure to subscribe to the Press Telegram. They have a deal right now, $1 subscription for 6 months. Or if you want to do what my girl did, 2 years, $12. So they are hurting for subscribers. You can get local Long Beach Downey news for very, very cheap. So
hell of a plug you got right there, dog. Well, until next time, appreciate you guys tapping in with us. We'll talk to you guys later. Peace.